fantasy football drafts on their way in the next couple weeks. Here's 10th pick overall draft breakdown and what players I took. So 10th pick overall, first round, I took Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua on my board's the 8th pick overall. To me, the 8th best player. So Puka Nacua last season, it was a great year for him. Even though he had some injury concerns, he still went out there, had a nice season. And now the number one wide receiver over there in Los Angeles, Puka and Devontae Adams, the top two. So to get him in the 10th pick overall, I like the value. Then on the way back, Brian Thomas, once again, I find myself getting him. And I like Brian Thomas a lot, especially in the second round. The big season last year over there in Jacksonville. I know they added Travis Hunter to the mix. And this Jaguar team, I believe they're going to be trailing a lot of games. So Brian Thomas and Puka Nacua to start at the receiving position, I think is a good start for me. Then James Cook in the third round. Cook last year led the league in touchdowns rushing. I know some games he disappeared at times and he was a touchdown-dependent running back. But when you're in an offense with Josh Allen and an explosive offense that's going to put up a lot of points, I think James Cook once again could go out there, have a good season. The only thing from Cook I want to see is a little bit more stability and reliability in the passing game and catching the football. But like I said, I like James Cook. Solid running back he's been over the last few seasons since he's been in the league. And obviously, clearly the number one back over there for Buffalo. Then fourth round, Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall, we could have a bounce-back season. Well, last year, he had inconsistent and down games as well. And I know Justin Fields, they signed on, is this New York Jet team where some goal line touches can be taken away from him, where Fields does a tush-push, let's say, or quarterback sneak into the end zone. And obviously one of the better rushing quarterbacks in the league is Justin Fields. But Breece Hall is still a young running back. Now second season off the ACL, where running backs and players in general get better, get stronger, back to 100% strength. And I think it could be a surprising year for Breece Hall. Because let's remember, last year, he was a first-round pick. Early in the first round was Breece Hall, and now fall into the third, fourth-round range. I think is great value to get Hall on your roster. Then fifth round, Tedoria McMillan, a rookie I'm very big on going into the season. And I think McMillan could be a Rookie of the Year possibility in the NFL. He can run all the routes. He can make the plays. And obviously, he was a highly touted wide receiver coming out this season is McMillan. And there's not much competition over there in Carolina. I know Adam Thielen the last couple of years, he's been pretty good in Carolina. But like I said, there's not much going on there. They're going to be trailing a lot of games. And McMillan, he's a matchup problem for corners and safeties with his length and his ability to go out there and make big plays. So I like McMillan in this fifth round. Then Isaiah Pacheco, sixth round. Pacheco last year was an injury-riddled season for him. Now it's a contract season for Pacheco, and it wouldn't be surprising me if Pacheco gets back to form. And as long as he's healthy, I think the backfield is his. I know they got Kareem Hunt. I know Carson Steele, as well Elijah Mitchell, so they got a lot of guys in this backfield. But Pacheco, big physical back. Obviously, this Chief team, they've won some Super Bowls with Pacheco as their running back. And as long as he's healthy, I think this season Pacheco could bounce back. And he's coming off the bench for me anyway, is Pacheco too. So to have him as my third running back, I think is very solid. Then seventh round, Jameson Williams. He was still sitting out there. I think I got him at a good price as Jameson Williams. To have him my fourth receiver, this is why I usually like having three solid receivers and then someone or one or two plays off the bench that could start if obviously injuries or when bye weeks kick in. The Jameson Williams last year was a breakout year, and we know he's an explosive player. He's got that home run ability. He could take a slant route to the house for 80 yards. We've seen it a couple times. And obviously defenses aren't going to put a lot of attention on him with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and obviously Ross St. Brown and Sam Laporte in the passing game. So Jameson Williams to be my fourth receiver, very solid. Then the eighth round, Tyrone Tracy. I think a lot of people think Cam Scatterbo is just going to come in this rookie season and be the starting running back for this Giant team. But Tracy, I thought last year in his rookie, it was pretty solid. The only thing he has to work on, in my opinion, is securing the football and not fumbling. He cost the Giants a couple games late in the fourth quarter. Was Tracy with the fumbling issues. But I think he could have a decent year. Cam Scatterbo, I don't really see he's an every down back. So Tyrone Tracy, Scatterbo could be a 60-40, could be 50-50. But Tracy's still going to have a good part in this offense is Tyrone Tracy. And like I said, to have him as my fourth running back, I think solid. So quarterback and tight end, I didn't really reach in this draft, but to get Dalton Kincaid in the ninth round, I think is a solid pick. Kincaid last year got off to a good start, then injuries, and then the Bills trading for Amari Cooper, even though he didn't help him much. And then other players like Holland stepping up out of nowhere last year. Kincaid took a little bit of a backseat, but going into this season, there's not much going on in the receiving room. And I think Kincaid could be the second option in the passing game. They got Shakur, they got Keon Coleman, and now you got Dalton Kincaid here, who I think could have a good third season in the NFL. So to get him in the 9th round, where he has potential upside of 50, 60 grabs and maybe 500-600 yards, where anywhere from 5 to 10 touchdowns, I like the value. Then Jared Goff in the 10th round. I know Goff's not going to get rushing yards, but we know he pushes that football down the field. And when you got weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who I got early in this draft, deep ball threat, obviously a guy with home run hitting ability, and then Gibbs and Montgomery in the backfield and Laporta at the tight end position. That's a lot of weapons. And even with Ben Johnson gone as offensive coordinator in the fast track over there in Detroit, they're going to put up points. And Goff, once again, he's going to be a solid quarterback, I believe. Then 11th round, Jerome Ford. As of now, I think he's the starting running back for this Brown team. Jukin's off the field issues. Sampson, a young running back. But I still think the veteran Ford's going to get the opportunity. And I've been finding myself in all these mocks, if you've been watching the channel and the videos, getting Ford in that 10th, 11th round range. And he's a solid running back, especially for him to be my 5th back on the roster. I think Jerome Ford, he could go out there and be solid. Then 12th round, Keenan Allen, who we signed with the Chargers. Keenan Allen last year traded from the Chargers to the Bears, and now back. And they got a lot of problems in the receiving room. Besides Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, he's been a bust since they drafted him a couple years ago. A lot of drop passes. And Trey Harris, young rookie, I don't think he's ready. So Keenan Allen signing back with his old team makes sense. Him and Herbert had good ESP. He still could run routes. He still could catch the football. And last year, believe it or not, he had 70 catches for over 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. I don't think Keenan Allen's washed, even though at 33 years old, I still think he could go out there and contribute. And then the last round, I went wide receiver once again with Jaden Higgins. Right now in training camp, he's lining up on the outside as the number 2 wide receiver, where they took him obviously 34th overall was this Houston Texan team. And Christian Kirk, I know they traded for him in the offseason, but we know he's going to line up in his spot in the slot. So I think Higgins, he could surprise a little bit. And obviously this Texan team is high on him using good draft capital. So I think this roster pretty rounded out and pretty consistent. So Jared Goff at quarterback, no problem with that. Got him in the 10th round. Puka Nacua, getting him 10th overall. I really like that he dropped where he's my number 8 player on the board. Brian Thomas in this back-end drafts from that 8th to the 12th range. I keep finding myself getting him in the 2nd round. Brian Thomas, big year last season. And now to have a healthy Trevor Lawrence hopefully all season. Numbers could be the same or even better, because last season, remember now with Brian Thomas, he was going out there and putting up numbers with Mac Jones. And this Jaguar team, they could be trailing early and often once again. Then James Cook, big year last season. I know the touchdowns are going to go down, but I think the rushing yards could go up and hopefully the receptions go up. But to have him and Breece Hall in my backfield is very solid, especially Breece Hall in the 4th round. I know last year was a down year, but he still could catch the football out of the backfield. And besides Garrett Wilson in this Jet offense, and obviously Justin Fields with his playmaking ability, rushing the football as a quarterback, Breece Hall, I think it could be a nice bounce back year and great value in the 4th. Dalton Kincaid got off to a nice start last season, but I think Kincaid, there's an opportunity where he could step up and be the second option in the passing game for this Buffalo Bill team. And like I said, he was a first-round pick a few years ago from this Bill team, so they put a lot of stock in him. And when you play with a quarterback like Josh Allen, I think things will be figured out. Torrey McMillan, very big on him coming into the season. To have him as my 3rd receiver flex option, I think that's very solid. McMillan, big-time college football player. Like I said, tall wide receiver, could run the route tree, could make the plays, very athletic, and obviously could have a breakout rookie season. Then to go to the bench, Isaiah Pacheco, to have him as my 3rd running back, very solid in my opinion. To have Pacheco, he's a running back. When he's healthy, he's physical in between the tackles. And I know they got Elijah Mitchell, but he's always hurt. Kareem Hunt, he was solid last season when he filled in with all the injuries in the backfield. But Pacheco, it's still his backfield. And also, like I said, a contract year, I think he could go out there and do well. Then Jameson Williams had the breakout season last year. To have him as my 4th wide receiver, very solid. And when you're in offense with a lot of weapons, there's going to be games where Jameson Williams has easy one-on-one coverage and puts up big numbers. So I'd like him off the bench. Tyrone Tracy, I still think is going to be the starter for the New York Giants. Cam Scatterbo, I know a lot of hype with him coming out this season and drafted by this Giant team. But Tracy last year showed he could carry the workload. I know he had some fumbling issues, but obviously I like him as a bench piece. Jerome Ford, I still think is going to be the starter going into the year for this Brown team. And I know Ford, he hasn't put on monster games, but someone in PPR leagues, 10, 15 points most weeks. Obviously, he's been doing Keenan Allen back with the Chargers. Solid wide receiver throughout his career, and him and Herbert now back together, where obviously he's had some big seasons. I like it there. Jaden Higgins, a lottery ticket type of pick here to round out the bench. I think Jaden Higgins, he could go out there. He could be solid for this Texan team. They need help in the receiving room, especially with Tank Dell out for the season. I know they got the stud receiver Nico Collins, but obviously he's had some injury issues, and they need that second playmaker. So it could be Higgins or Kirk, but I think Higgins, like I said, they used good draft capital to get him on this roster this season, and it could be solid. So with the 10th pick overall, I think it's a pretty solid team I drafted here. Balanced team as well. So that's the 10th pick draft breakdown entering the 2025 fantasy football season.